Salute. The streets are buzzing. New York Knicks back at MSG, 100-95, getting the dub, handling their business on the third game of preseason. Lots to break down, man, in an overtime, exciting finish as the Knicks second string unit came to play and closed this one out. We've got lots to give out, the grades, conversations, and shout outs in the chat. We're going to give out a game ball and we're going to look ahead. And we have a poll in the chat tonight as well. Welcome in to the post-game live. Ladies and gentlemen, exciting ball game that finished with a flurry of threes that went down despite the New York Knicks shooting poorly in this one. 59 threes the Knicks got up, man. But it was some huge defensive stops late that closed it out, including one from Ariel Hukporti with the big block and the Garrison Matthews splash. Man, catching our breaths in this one. Appreciate y'all for joining us. Late night post game live with the streets buzzing. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. We've got Buzzer Beater in the building. Daniel Berry, Chris Gotti, salute. Susan, salute. Everyone out here. We're excited to see our New York Knicks in the third game of preseason. And we're going to continue to roll these highlights, fam. Big Huck smash as well. Hukporti was one of my standouts, right, to close the game. And he's looked excellent. But we've got to rewind, obviously. And we're going to talk about the guy that got the game ball in this one. And we go through the stats. The New York Knicks, man, 59 threes. And our poll in the chat tonight is, what stood out to you the most? Was it raining three-point attempts? Option number 1. Option number 2, was it the fast finishing second unit? Malcolm Brogdon, Tyler Kolek looked comfortable. Mikal Dadiet hit a 3. I thought he was very active with the, with his defense, moving his feet. The Knicks forced a lot of turnovers. They forced 23 turnovers as well and got 11 steals. Karl-Anthony Towns got 3. Mikal Bridges got 3 steals as well. The third option in the poll was at the fluid substitution patterns as well. That was a big standout for me because the subs were very, I was pleased with the subs, and we'll go through it. Obviously, getting guys out earlier in the first quarter and then back into the ball game towards the end of the first quarter with OG and Mitch as well. Mitch didn't play in the second half. I don't think there's anything wrong. I think it was a planned coach's decision, but obviously we got more of a look of these other guys too. You see the wire to wire. The Knicks were starting pretty strong. I think it was 21-20 end of the first, despite the threes not going down. It was a close ball game, but the Knicks lost some control. They got a little bit sloppy. I thought Jalen Brunson, still getting used to this system, obviously, but Karl-Anthony Towns' defense, I thought, was okay. He was really fighting and getting those deflections, steals. Mikal Bridges too. I think Deuce was a good player in the second half as well. And the Knicks late in that third made that run, got a 13-0 run in that fourth quarter, which after that, man, the Minnesota Timberwolves were toast, right? Mikal Bridges got those threes up, damn. And I think his efforts in this one, man, he's been the clear standout of preseason. We'll check in with the poll in the chat. Susan says, just everything looks fresh. Absolutely. Buzzer says, never too late to chop it up with our Knicks. Great to have you with us as always. Chris says the starters were pretty rusty. Yep. I think rusty as well as they were just trying to play fast, and that's going to come off a lot of times, and it's going to look a little rusty and funky sometimes as well. They just need to know how to hit, rewind a little bit or pause and just not go 100 miles an hour every time. Shout out yours truly. Salute to you. Great to see you, everyone out here. Susan's loving these new look Knicks. Daniel Berry says happy Thursday night to everyone out here. And we're going to give out the game ball right now. And for me, as you guys see on screen, it's got to be Mikal Bridges, right? He finished with a very solid stat line, fam. As I bring up the box score, Mikal Bridges finished 6 of 12, 50% from the field, 3 of 7, 42% from downtown, despite the Knicks only shooting 26% as a team. Mikal Bridges got 4 rebounds, including 3 offensive. He got an assist. He got 3 steals, 3 fouls, 15 points, despite being the minus 4. Damn, as I pull up the box score in this one. How did you guys see Mikal Bridges' game, man? And we're going to give out the grades right now, but he gets the game ball for me. I mean, how consistent has Mikal Bridges looked under Mike Brown? I think the speed is probably the thing that really works in his favor when it comes from Thibodeau's system over to Mike Brown, man. Mikal in that half court set was it was not his wheelhouse. Right now we're seeing Mikal Bridges' wheelhouse. He's the fittest player. He's probably the quickest player, I think, in the sprints that they were talking about. He's one of the lightest players. Obviously, he helps getting up and down. And obviously, the wingspan, getting in these passing lanes with 3 steals. We had no Hart, who sat with an illness. Hopefully, Hart is back in action soon. I'm not too worried about it personally. I think we'll see Hart get back into the action sooner rather than later, but best to be a bit cautious with that situation. McCullough, a DNP. Interesting to see. I don't know what that means. Don't think there was any injury. Matt Ryan didn't get out there as well. Alex Len as well. But OT, we got to see a lot of action, and we'll talk about the closers right after we've talked about the starters, right? But I thought Brunson was a little sloppy. 3 of 10. No, that was Deuce. Deuce was 3 of 10. Brunson went 4 of 14. Only 1 of 6 from downtown. 11 points, -4. A couple of turnovers, just 3 dimes. I think, yeah, he looks a little bit sped up right now. And Yabu too. So I'm going to roll out these grades, fam. In the heat of the moment, let us know your thoughts, right? We've unveiled our new grading system. Basically, just putting guys into categories, man. I can't be dealing with numbers and grades and letter grades too much right after the games, right? You need time to stew on it. But for me, it was whether it was a special Savage performance, was it a standout, were they slick with the green, the blue, were they solid or selfless? The white means they were either silent or on the sloppy side. And no reds in this one for sorry or suspect. But Brunson, he'll get the white. I think he was a little sloppy, Bam, and trying to force it a little bit into the paint. Turned it over a few times. The 3-point ball, the shots just aren't falling at the moment. But on the plus side, and I will give this plus in terms of JB's movement, he looks quicker. He's shed some pounds, was carrying a little bit of extra weight. I think the last season, JB, it helped him sort of, back a man down in the paint. But now he's going to have to get up and down a lot faster. Is JB, so I think he's just got to adjust to this speed. But right now, OG looks solid. I think Mitch was really solid as well. I really thought Cat, his activity was just a standout for me with the 3 steals. And of course, Mikal Bridges was also the standout too. And we'll hit on the closers later as well. Clarkson, 4 of 11. I think this was one of his more solid games, although you did get a couple of those Clarkson no, yes moments, the ones that Campaign gave us last season. As the Knicks were down 38-44. And yeah, the offense we were getting plenty of shots up, plenty of possessions, but the shots weren't falling. It was a really inefficient first half. But we also have to preface by saying, guys, is that, I mean, Minnesota's the real deal in terms of the way they were playing and the way they were getting after it. Right? As we roll some more highlights and shout you guys out. Buzzer says no one on the roster should be averaging more than 30 minutes. Yep. Susan says Knicks definitely are in shape. you can tell their work has done in the off season, 100%. Chris says, yeah, Brunson does look more quicker. Graz says, salute to CT. All Huck continues to impress me. He's the second best defensive center on the Knicks by a large margin. I got to agree with you 100% on that one, fam. And here, one of the plays of the game from Cat. One of the reasons why he got a standout, slick performance, man. Are we seeing some growth, man? Cat would have bit on that last season, fam. Stayed on his feet and frustrated Julius Randle with that one, man, and waited for the help defense. So we'll get into some trends that I'm seeing as a team, fam. So I really like the substitution patterns. That's why I put that in the poll, right? Fluid substitution patterns, and we'll get into those specifically. But the other one was we're more aggressive defensively, getting in passing lanes. The help, we're not waiting for the help to come; it's coming immediately. And I think guys have got each other's back in this case. So substitutions, man. 6 minutes into the first, Deuce comes out for OG. Yabu, Deuce comes in for OG. A minute later, at the 5 minute point, Yabu comes in for Mitch, right? Then OG comes back in for Mikal at the 250 mark. So OG's already been out in the first quarter and he's back in with 250 to play in the first, man. That wasn't the case under Tibbs, right? And then Mitch is able to come back in end of the first as well at the 140 mark for Cat. You see? So we've had two subs where Mitch and OG's come out halfway through the first and they've already come back in before the first even closes as well. So we're getting some solid balance. With that said, we saw Brogdon get into the second half as well. He didn't play in the first half. So I'm liking that. So substitution patterns from Brown. I'm also liking the activity defensively, fam. I mean, we turned Minnesota over in this one. 23 turnovers they had, fam, and we got we got one of our highest steal tallies as we dial up the numbers once again. Shout out to the chat. Please smash that like button and get this thing buzzing. You guys are on fire in this one. 22 assists from our Knicks, 11 steals. Our blocks are up. Last year, we were one of the dead last teams in blocks. We got 6 tonight. We're only 11 turnovers, considering the way we played at that pace. We won the fast break points again, so that's up from Thibodeau's structure last season. 18 second chance points and dominated the points in the paint, fam, as well against Rudy Gobert and co. And I've got to give a huge shout out to Mitchie from this one, man, with a huge block, as we're going to relive Huck Porty's block late as well. But look at Mitchie, man. He gets the solid grade from me. I thought he started really well. But yeah, the game kind of got very fast, obviously. That third quarter, my God, man, it was helter-skelter. It was like a roller coaster ride. And thankfully, the starters got to sit. And our situationals, which Clyde was really enjoying, the second string unit. You could tell there's a huge upgrade from the second string unit that these guys were watching from last season. Chris Gotti, salute, says good substitution patterns. Agreed. Buzzer says Cat said he was going to work on his defense this summer. Yep, I've noticed there some better decision making, fam. Still a little sloppy. Elwara looks a little unsure of himself. Yep, I agreed on that, Larry. I think it was a little silent in that stretch, and I gave Diawara the white S. A little silent, sloppy late. As long as he's making sound decisions, I don't mind Diawara not forcing it right now. One thing that I really like was, Kolek, Dadiet, they looked more aggressive. They looked comfortable. That was their time to shine. And they weren't, the shots weren't always falling, but they were not hesitating as well, right? And for another game, Huck Porty's been another standout. So that's 2 standout, slick performances out of the 3. so far, man. You could tell he just looks like an NBA rotation player, fam. 3 seasons overseas, pro ball, season with the Knicks last season. That's 4 seasons of pro ball for Ariel Hukporti, man. I know, some people may think he's a sophomore. You look at a guy, man, he's got basically 4 years of pro experience with this one. You see the Knicks swarming Julius Randle. We've seen that movie a couple of times where Julius is back to the play and are not seeing the help D, right? And this is what I mean about the aggression. If these guys are fit, they're healthy, they're going to be able to run and blitz and swarm the opponents, fam. So get ready, man. It's going to be a helter skelter, high octane defense from us. Yeah, we don't always have the best 1v1 defenders in the case of Brunson and Cat. But if the help comes super quick like this, great recognition from Deuce McBride, seeing Julius with the back down on Jalen, and we did not hesitate. Last year would have been standing around, man, twiddling our thumbs, waiting for the guy to abuse us. But this time, I think Mike Brown's definitely exercising the messaging that, get out and help your man, fam. This was a pretty play from Cat with the and one finish. Always been acrobatic with those finishes. Russell, shout out, says, I like the rotations. Yep. Chris says Deuce knows Julius well. 100%. Yeah, how did you guys see Clarkson? Susan says Clarkson will definitely improve and be a beast. Mikal, L stepping up. I think our starting five is looking nice. It wasn't off to the greatest start tonight, but I think our chemistry is gonna go through the roof, fam. And then Clarkson comes in. Brogdon, I think, looks solid as well. So I think out of the battles tonight, guys, I think Shamet kind of again lost a little bit of ground. He wasn't awful, but he was more silent, I think, more sound, silent. But I felt Garrison Matthews obviously came alive again late. And so is he gaining ground on Landry Shamet? I've got to say, in my honest opinion, I think Garrison Matthews is gaining some ground on Landry, right? This is one of my favorite plays of the entire game, fam. A give and go with Cat. Look at that connection. That's last year's connection, fam. That was one of Brunson's prettiest plays on an otherwise sloppier night, fam. But look, the 3-point ball will fall. I think it's early in the season for JB. But look how much slimmer JB looks in that case. I thought, yeah, the pace. CC says Brogdon gave us that pace. I got to agree. Whoever's grabbing the rebound, they're just not really looking for the guard. They're just going and running, which is great. But also, Brogdon looks very steady on the ball. A little different to what we had last season with Cameron Payne. And I don't really want to always be mentioning Cam Payne because I think, look, Cam Payne, there's mixed messaging from last season. Cam Payne gave us his best, as a vet minimum guy. He had some incredible moments, but with Brogdon, what we're getting is a more of a point guard, in terms of a floor general, not just a guy looking for a shot. And man, he can space the floor out. He can catch it and knock it down. But with Brogdon, the difference between him and Cam Payne is, you see Brogdon's looking to get other guys involved. He's looking to obviously take advantage of a matchup if he can. But he's obviously always ready to pull the trigger as well. And I thought Brogdon was very solid, one of the catalysts for that late game run, too. And yeah, it's just great to have Knicks basketball back at the Mecca. We have to give a big shout out, Clyde, man, on the call with Tyler Murray. It was on NBA TV tonight, too. So shout out to the crew, fam. Great to have them back. Friend of the show, Benji, was in the building. Caught up with a former Knick, Jose Calderon, man, who's apparently working with the Cleveland Cavaliers, man, as an advisor or a scout as well. So we had Jose Calderon, fam, in the building. He's already putting in those hours scouting the New York Knicks from the Cleveland Cavaliers perspective, fam, who we know we play on opening night too. So that is how it's going down, fam. With our starting five was the same, but Mitch playing less minutes. So I really like the approach. I think it's been very sensible with the rotations, fam, and the substitution patterns. But now let's fast forward all the way, man, back down to the end where our guys, man, situationals battled to finish this one out. And this probably has to get play of the game for me. Ariel Huckporty with the very disciplined defense, vertical. We've heard from Mike Brown, and look at the way Huckporty ran the lane there, unbelievable. With Garrison Matthews finding the connection from TKO as well, turning defense into offense as well, and a solid possession from Dadiet too, helping to seal the man off, right? But look, Garrison Matthews, man, he doesn't need a second to let it fly, and it's money most of the time. Um, Buzzer says Brogdon is my pick, and I think Rasul says I'm going to make it. I think Matthews is going to make it over Shamit. Simon agrees. CC says Shamit played solid D. Yep, and I think the floor is solid for Shamit. He really gives you like a stinker performance, but in terms of Garrison Matthews, he's just giving us more offense right now, and he can put the ball on the floor as well. So, is it going to come down to the shots versus the defense? I'd have to give the defensive edge to Landry, but by far the offensive edge to Garrison Matthews so far. And hey, maybe we're talking about a situation where we keep both of these guys, you know? Maybe we're talking about that situation where both can stick. It certainly looks like Brogdon is going to stick, right? And then another massive play late, Huck Porty, man. He's got hops, and he definitely looks slimmer, much slimmer, does Huck Porty, man, as he rises from outside of the restricted area. And he took contact as well, fam, on Baron Gay on that one. Had the crowd and the bench absolutely fired up, right? Errol Huckporty's making that case, man. I said it a couple of streams back, man. If there's an 11th man, it's definitely Huckporty for me as the 11th man. And I think a lot of nights Mitch might not play back-to-backs. He might play lesser minutes, and Mike Brown might find reasons to get that 11th man in there. We all know Cat can get into foul trouble. We all know that Mitchell Robinson as well plays at a super high intensity when he does play. And so it does help to, I guess, spread those 5 minutes around, fam. Now, one of the kind of underwhelming situations that I'm keeping a close eye out on, I'm not concerned by any stretch, but I think Yabusele, has been missing his threes. So he'll get the silent, the grade for me. Again, he hasn't really made a massive impact. He's had some great highlight plays with the block last game, but yeah, he's still finding his footing in this current situation now. And I think, yeah, Huck Porty definitely looks more impactful, I think, on both sides over Yabu. So that is something to watch as well, right? Huck Porty's taking his chances, which is great for us at the end of the day. CC says Huck should be getting those minutes. Yep. And Chris also says, yeah, incredible Huck needs playing time in the reg season. Yep. I mean, and Russell says, man, the talent we have. A lot of talent, fam. Tosan Awoma splashed that 3 in the corner. We didn't even see Kevin McCullough. I want to give also Trey Jemison a solid grade. He just looked like a solid fundamental big, old school. Drew a couple of loose ball fouls, sealed his man off well under the basket, got a nice little hook shot over Zakarski, who's 7'6". Trey Jemison's, movement. And I guess the overall positive is the ball is moving with energy, guys. It's like I'm giving it up to you and I'm getting it back. I'm then moving it on to the next guy. Sometimes I'll get it back again. They are definitely aware of each other out on the floor, fam. And there's no ISO. There's no real, guys chewing up the shot clock. and guys standing around like last season too. But yeah, this was a great stretch where the Knicks three balls were actually falling. Become Dadiet, no hesitation. Deuce McBride as well got us going, fam, on that 13-0 run. Got the crowd fired up. Prophet says this is what we've been wanting a long time, man. Lots of that ball movement and the player movement as well, fam. Yeah. Look, you only got to think the chemistry is going to get better and better, fam, as well, because, these guys are just, this is 3 games in, so the highlight is, yeah, we're going to look sometimes sloppy, some turnovers, maybe, inefficient shooting, but we're getting more shots up, more possessions. We're also playing more aggressive defensively. So you got to think that's going to balance itself out. And we are going to turn some teams over and then, get out on the break. And we are absolutely going to feast on the break. We've won the fast break points in every game. We've won the second chance points in every game as well now. And I think points in the paint with our bigs playing at a very, very, very high level, fam. And just going back to Mitchy, giving him that shout out because he's fully healthy. And to start the season, we didn't have a healthy Mitchy last season. It was Cat thrown into the fire, fam, right off of the back of the trade on the eve of media day. Cat was thrown out there as the 5. Right now, Cat's the starting power forward, and he does look slimmer, and he is moving well. Is Cat? So shout out to Cat. Shout out to Mikal Bridges, 2 of my standouts in this one. 3 steals apiece. And let's keep it rolling, fam. We got more food on the horizon with Washington and Charlotte next week as well. So I think spread the wealth around, get other guys going, and we're going to see the conclusion of these cam battles play out. So far, Garrison Matthews deserves a spot. I don't want to let him go. He's just going to get picked up by probably Indiana or one of these rivals circling like sharks, fam. Just like this man. Campaign, fam. So get this, the Pacers, if you don't already know, they cut DeLon Wright, fam, after he got concussion, right? It was a tough injury where he got headbutted, I think unintentionally. Basically, I don't know what the story is, but they made that cut. And who do they pick up? Campaign, fam. So not only they had DeLon Wright in their locker room, now they got Campaign with TJ McConnell's going to be out for a month with a hamstring. And we know Tyrese Halliburton is out as well. And now they got Campaign. They throw Cam a lifeline as well. So that's going to be very interesting to watch, fam. We've got Jose Calderon scouting us for the Cavs. And we've got some former Knicks giving up some intel, right? But we don't have Tibbs' system right now. Buzzer says it's going to be 5-0. 100% agree. So here we have Chris Gent, the offensive coordinator and Knicks associate head coach, right? Work with OG Anunoby pre-game. Shout out to the video and the coverage from Chris Persianen on this one. Chris Gent, man, he was a former bucket, played in Australia. I saw him as a kid growing up in the NBL. Obviously, had a cup of coffee in the NBA. Had a lot of different coaching roles now, and we see our offense starting to benefit with Chris Gent now in the building. Right, guys look a lot more fluid, and yeah, if we continue to jack up 53s, hey, it's not going to be always pretty, but I think over the course of the season, we're going to get a lot of blowout wins, with the shooters that we have. Chris says, damn, Pacers picked up 2 of our former Knicks. Yeah, we made some upgrades, so I'm kind of feeling glass half full with that situation. Susan says, Knicks will own MSG this season. Yeah, Susan, did you notice when I think it was Rudy Gobert shooting those free throws? Did y'all notice that the crowd was a lot more into that Thunder Sticks? I don't know. Let us know if someone was in the building. But I've been crying out for MSG to. I don't know if they hype it up enough. But the guys behind the basket on the baseline, fam, the Thunder Sticks were really at it tonight. Shout out to the crowd as well. Maybe they throw something on the Jumbotron as well to get into the opposing teams. But every time an opponent shoots free throws at MSG, it's usually silent, and we need to make MSG, more hostile as well. So we had our Knicks come out and take the floor for the first time at MSG this season. I love the new warm-ups as well that we see on screen. JB definitely looking fleet of foot in this one. So yeah, everyone's in great condition outside of Jay Hart right now. So that is a massive storyline to watch, fam. Another massive storyline to watch is this man proclaiming to the Boston Celtics that let me play this season. I've been talking about it for a while now. I think Jason Tatum comes back early than expected, right? Here he is throwing the vertical throwdown, right? If I'm a Celtics fan, I'm going to feel kind of a little bit more excited about the season, but also with some trepidation, fam. You don't want to be rushing back, a guy of that caliber, I think, too soon, right? Yes, he might be feeling all right, but those Achilles injuries are no joke, fam. That can pop in a second. That can pop just like a New Year's parade. And so, but that is something to pay close attention to with that situation, fam. So we have some great workout footage also from of Pacome Dadiet, right? So now let's talk about the guys who closed it out in this one, right? Pacome Dadiet, I'll start with him. He had some really good moments, missed his first three, but the shot always looks fluid, as you see here. I love the aggression. He played within the offense too, and then he was rewarded with a kick out. So the ball kind of got thrown around, and then he got the nice kick out and knocked the three down. So Pacome Dadiet is one of the big storylines to watch right now. Reports suggest that a trade ain't going to happen until after all of the preseason games, right? So Pacome finished with 50% from the field with 5 points, was a plus 13. So a big impetus of the Knicks' late run. 2 rebounds, an assist, 5 points, plus 13 in those 14 minutes where the Knicks were fast finishing. And 2 of 4 from the field, 1 of 3 from downtown is Pacome Dadiet. So small sample size, but he looked okay. He looked okay in that one. He'll get a solid from me, right? And then definitely I think it's either going to help us out with a showcase. Hopefully, though, in my opinion, I want Pacome Dadiet to stick. Now, Diawara looked a lot more quiet, 0 of 1 in the 5 minutes, so he got less minutes in this one, did Diawara. So is the Knicks organization looking at those two and be thinking, all right, wait a minute. We know that Diawara is on the cheaper contract, but if our message is all about keeping the guys that are going to help us win this season, isn't that slightly counterintuitive to that? If Pacome Dadiet could actually help us out more than a Diawara, that could be something else to look out for. Or perhaps Dadiet is competing with somebody else. Perhaps he's competing with Tyler Kolek for one of those sophomore spots. Again, Landry Shamet might not even make the squad, and this Pacome, conversation or discourse is not even a conversation. If Landry isn't good enough, he doesn't even make it, and you just keep Brogdon, and you give Garrison Matthews that spot, fam, and then you don't really need to, you've got some other decisions to make. With that said, maybe Garrison Matthews can stick later into the season. Tony says, salute, Knicks from Denver. Poor 3-point shooting tonight. Yeah, 15 of 57. It looks ugly on paper, fam. but they were really, really good looks. If you saw the end of the game, you'll know. Yeah, really good looks. And look, at some point in the game, the Knicks are going to catch fire like they did during the stretch. But if our defense can just keep us in the games, even when we're not shooting it well, um, and as Mike Brown preached, it's all about paint touches. We're not just walking the ball up the court or running up and jacking up a three like Boston does with Tatum and Derek White and those boys, Pritchard. Those guys just run up and jack a three. Our threes are coming within the flow of the offense where we're touching paint, or we're trying to get into the paint first and then we're kicking it out, or we're swinging the ball along the perimeter so that it's touching more of the hands and getting more energy up when it comes to that. So, with that said, guys are just going to be in super great conditioning with the player movement as well. I think Indiana from last season going 10, 11, 12 deep. With that said, I thought Deuce McBride was really good in the second half, a bit more quiet in the first half, but he'll still finish with the solid. But look, I think one of another great takeaways is if you are going to have some standout players, it's obviously more preferable that those players are in your starting five, right? So tonight, Cat and Mikal Bridges get two of the standouts, and then one of the solid bench role players in Ariel Hukporty. And I thought Jordan Clarkson, one of his better showings. There were some up and down moments throughout the game, but he was trying to force it a little bit. But then you saw his skill set, man, on full display with JC, with some of the big up and unders. He was forcing some fouls to be called on him, as well as we see a great finish from OG, one of his trademark line drives off the catch, where he attacks the closeout. And then also he surveyed Rudy Gobert and sized him up for the second one, fam. So look, overall, I'm pleased with OG's preseason. Mikal Bridges has been a standout. I think Brunson still one of the slower guys to get into his rhythm, but he's being more unselfish, which is good. Karl Anthony Towns, though, his best game, I think, tonight, and he was incredibly active against Julius Randle. You could see those two, man. They were like two bulls tussling. Was Juju and Cat in this one. And another takeaway is obviously you look at the shooting, you look at some struggles tonight, but I make the case that we're not going to play much more tougher opponents than Minnesota. So there is plenty of upside in terms of Minnesota, they're not favorites to win the West, or they're not like the favorites to take out the championship, but you can make that case that they are top 3, top 4 team out West, right? And so it was a really good test for the New York Knicks in their third preseason game. This is what I want from preseason. I want to play the best, right? Now we've got Washington and we've got Charlotte coming up, and we have to make the best of that. Extend the rotation, do what you got to do. But when it comes to tonight, this is going to be this is going to be our full dress rehearsal, in my opinion. Minnesota, because they are going to be one of the toughest teams we'll face. Buzzer says Celtics aren't going to risk Tatum's health like that. Great point, Buzzer. So on that note, what do you think? When do you think they would risk bringing him back? Let me ask y'all. They're teasing us. They're flirting. They've been doing it for months now. That Tatum's ahead of schedule. The difference between getting the surgery within 24 hours, all of those things is making a huge difference. Now you see him putting footage out of dunking the basketball. So they're clearly trying to tease, anyone out here, Celtics fans, or that he's going to come back. So when do y'all think Tatum is going to actually come back? It's definitely post All-Star. There's no reason to bring him back earlier than that. But I think it's going to be before the playoffs. Maybe they look at trying to get him in, see if they can get him 15 games before the playoffs begin, 20 games before the playoffs begin. Now, in terms of how different Indiana are approaching it, they've already said Tyrese he's out for the season. They're not going to risk that. But when it comes to Tatum, I think he's going to come back. Damn, I think he's going to come back. Right. I just love that Huckboardy aggression as well. So Buzzer says next season. Next season, man. I disagree. I think they'll try and bring him back. I think they'll try and bring him back this season. CC says Cat's defense was on point. I still think that he was caught in a few situations where he was a little undisciplined, but better. I think better than most of what we saw last season. So I think the looks are helping it out. They've clearly worked on things with Mike Brown, fam. I think one of the bigger things are just watching who Cat's guarding and bringing the help. Bring the help sooner and then being prepared to rotate. So whoever's coming to help Cat on his man, be prepared for the swing, and then the other guy's on a swivel where the Knicks guard is rotating a lot quicker. And that's why we're able to get deflections, passing lanes, and get more of these steals too, fam. So that is a big, big, big plus. As we see Ariel with the denial. Glenn, salute, says, my guy CT's on point. If they bring him back, he won't be the same. Kevin Durant said your calf won't be strong, and he will be half the player that he was. Go Knicks. That's a great case to make as well, fam. It's all good for a player to feel nice in a little scrimmage or a workout, man. Put him into the fire, and then he's going to find out what it's all about. So, yeah, Buzzer might be right, man. It might just be a lot of smoke. Just teasing it that he might come back. Let us know in the comment section, fam. Grouse says, I think the C's only bring Tatum back in March if they feel they have a legit playoff run. That's the great domino too. Agree, fam. 100%. So, what else have we got to hit on? So yeah, this was a nice Brunson drive. Actually, an air ball or a deflection from OG, where Brunson picked his moment, man, and cut the defense apart in that one. And got the deficit back to 4 or a 6 in that one. But yeah, once again, ball movement's great. Cat OG at the top. How often did we see that last season? Rarely ever. It was always Brunson. So yeah, anyone that might. And there are going to be some people that'll probably start to get critical of Brunson, but I'm going to get on early and say that you got to look at it from a different perspective now. That he's not as ball dominant as we're going to be used to seeing, right? And so yeah, you want him to be more efficient, but 14 shots, that's great. I mean, most of the time Brunson would be shooting 15 plus just to get us over the line. Now the ball's moving around. Guys are going to feel more comfortable. I think they will get into a rhythm because there will be less standing around. But a lot of action. We're seeing a lot of the Mitchell Robinson at the high post. Mitch doing the dribble handoffs because he sets great screens. So that's a big plus. As we see a great possession with Cat and his defense on Juju. But yeah, with the Mitchell Robinson sort of Isaiah role where he was up on the post, dribble handoff, players can get around the around Mitch quicker if you're Brunson and get downhill or Deuce, because Mitch hands it off, he turns his shoulder, and he's hard to get around as well. It's kind of what guys did with Al Horford, Luke Cornett on the Celtics. Yeah. And I always felt last season we didn't use Mitch enough as the screener up top. Pick and roll. We're even finding Mitch more on the roll man from the picks too. So I'm seeing more of that evolve, and I want to see more of that too. Uh, was there anything I didn't like tonight, Buzzer? So great question from y'all again. What I didn't like was, a couple of the threes. Clarkson. It's like, okay, you could clearly see the message they're stressing is to get those threes up. But I don't want to become the Boston Celtics where it's just like they're looking for a three. Y'all know. I'm good with taking a three if the three's there, but you could see when they're trying to force it sometimes too, fam. And I think, look, we're a great 2-point team. Brunson gets guys into foul trouble. We need to be mindful of that. It can't just be too much threes, fam. So I think we are towing the line, and I don't think we're going to see many 57, threes. Too much, fam. So we'll see how that all plays out. But yeah, let us know. Let us know if there was anything else that you guys saw that you didn't like. Fam, let us know. Vaughn Allen says Brunson was already efficient. Less touches means he'll be even more efficient. Yep. Yeah, definitely. I think with the ball movement, things will be a lot better. Things will be a lot better. With the catching, the shooting, the connection, the rhythm that these guys are in. Okay, we might just have an issue with our stream, fam. Hopefully it comes back in a second. Yeah, apologies for any technical difficulties. We're still live. We're still in the house. Let me check in with the chat. Yeah, we're still here, rocking out. Knicks 3-0 in the preseason, ready for a fast finish. Let me refresh. But yeah, so far so good from our New York Knicks. Just going to refresh for 1 second. Okay, back in the building. Now let's see if we can load up these highlights. We've still got the chat. Let us know if y'all can hear me. Yes, sir, we back. We back, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully y'all got me. We still here, right? They're trying to get at us, but we still here. So I think what it is, fam, is a couple of the takes from NBA directly. And basically, I think today's game, fam, was on NBA TV. So yeah, a lot of red tape with this situation, man. Yep, y'all can hear me right now. Appreciate y'all. So yeah, your overall impressions. Let's take a check in on the poll, right? As we look at the final two games. So the poll tonight was what has stood out to you the most from Game 3, right? First option was the reigning 3-point attempts as the New York Knicks went crazy tonight from downtown. 15 of 57. Right. Incredible, man. We didn't see that once. I'm pretty confident saying we didn't see that once last season. Right. And the shot chart looks kind of. Actually, let me break something down in a minute with the shot chart. But option number 2. So option number 1, raining threes at 26%. Option number 2, The second unit, fast finish, is also at 26%. Option number 3, the extra pace and ball movement, is at 26% as well. So we have history tonight, fam. We have a 3-way tie. And option number 4 was fluid sub patterns, coming in at 21%. So it's quite even, fam. It's very, very, very even. With that said, the shot chart. So as we break this down, fam, what stands out to y'all the most? Right. Let me bring it up on the larger view, fam. So we're definitely cutting out those long twos, mid-range, anything outside of the paint, outside of a 3. Yeah. So I think with our speed, the faster offense, we're either getting out in transition, which results in a layup or a dunk or a finish at the basket, or a kick out to a shooter for 3, right? We are definitely cutting out the 2-point game from mid-range. And that basically, I can say right now, that equates to probably 50% of Brunson, man, because a lot of Brunson shots were mid-range. Mikal Bridges is either finishing in transition or from 3 now. He was shooting a lot of mid-range fallaways. So we are seeing a lot of updates to our offense, fam. And look, so far, so good. It is going to be a level of adjustment where it's not just going to click. But I think tonight was a good test, obviously, against a much better team. Their starters probably had a slight edge over our starters when the second unit came in to finish it out. But obviously, you got to give the edge to Minnesota for their continuity, because with Devo, Randall, Jaden McDaniels, Ant-Man, and Julius, and Gobert, they're returning with full continuity with the same coach. We have a very similar starting 5, but with a brand new coach and with a new system as well. So, yeah, Buzzer says it, man. As you guys see, no mid-range, man. We are going to look a lot more like the Boston Celtics, but I just don't hope that we don't, get into a funk and by shooting too many threes and not attacking, attack the basket. Still, that is really important, right, to get guys into foul trouble. And look, tonight, Jaden McDaniels got into foul trouble, but he has himself to blame. He was doing some silly, sloppy fouls on that. I think he was just frustrated with our speed, and we were kind of relentless at times, even though, yeah, there were some turnovers and there were some misses. We were so relentless in terms of just getting out faster. And teams aren't used to this. They're usually getting back thinking, all right, it's going to be a slow Brunson, walk the ball up the court, kind of everyone's free to get set defensively, but not anymore, fam. I mean, as we're already seeing, Brunson will have a quiet night. Other guys will get loose. I mean, you got to worry about Cat. You've got to worry about Brunson. Bridges. You got to worry about Deuce McBride, who will be that first guy that comes in from the sub. Shout out to Vaughn. Salute, says Brunson can be the best player in the East. Hopefully just more efficient, even less shots, more efficient, but with more assists up, fam. Now tonight I kind of felt he was a little sloppy with the 3 assists, 2 turnovers. That's very unlike JB. But when you do play a lot faster, I think that is going to be the case of what ends up happening. So these are the grades. So far, so good from preseason with Mikal, Mitch. I think Cat starting to come more aggressive. OG, very solid as well. Deuce McBride, very good. Quieter side, Landry, Yabusele. Hopefully those guys can have a show out and put the pressure. But Clarkson, looking more like Clarkson today. We definitely needed his offense coming off the bench, so that was good. Manipulating the defense. No Josh Hart tonight. So we will get even stronger when Josh Hart becomes ready and available. But yeah, Clarkson in this one finished 4 of 11, man. 0 of 6 from downtown. But he got us 3 dimes and 2 offensive rebounds. Finished with a +7 with 10 points. So Clarkson, and you see the bench scoring as well with Dadiet with 5, Brogdon 5, and Garrison Matthews with 6, Tyler Kolek with 5. So we got depth that we did not have last season. So that's the other most pleasing thing. Damn, and if I'm voting in the chat in the poll tonight, I'm going to go extra pace ball movement number 1. That still remains the top story for me. The second unit's fast finish was exciting, number 2. And number 3 was the substitution patterns, which I really like. And last but not least, the raining of 3-point attempts. With that, Buzzer says, CT, will Brunson become the next face of the NBA? I think he'll be among, the group. Let's say we win the chip in the next season or two, Buzzer. I think he'll be right up there alongside, Tatum obviously is still quite young. Ant-Man, Wembanyama. I think once Steph and LeBron retire, I think Joker. I don't know how many years the Joker has really, because he just doesn't seem like a guy that's going to play, plus 35. I think the Joker might have a couple of big years, try to win another championship, and then I could see him retiring early, fam, and going to race horses back in Serbia. And then you got Tatum, Shea as well. Can't forget about Shea, Ant-Man, Spider, Brunson. Brunson should be top 5, fam, dead or alive. Kevin Salute says we need to stick with Dadiet. He just needs more run. Yeah, agree, Kevin. Good to see Dadiet knock down the shot. Was a bit more aggressive tonight. Finished 50%. Plus 13 is good. I think his energy defensively is good as well. And you just see a developing player, man. He's so young. He's got the size, pause. Wemby as well, Buzzer. I think Wemby's among that group. But I think, I'll tell you a couple of guys that Brunson has completely surpassed. He surpassed Spider. He's left him dead, I think. Dead in his wake. And I still think Spider's a big name, but I just think among the NBA hierarchy or NBA food chain, Brunson has surpassed Spider on probably most people's list. Trae Young, ice cold Trae Young. Brunson's left Trae Young in his wake. Man, ain't no one talking about Trae Young like that anymore. Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine's obviously fallen down a bit, getting a bit older. Who else out here? Devin Booker. Devin Booker's a very interesting name. Still a top player in a bad situation. If Brunson starts winning, this is where winning takes over and winning starts to cure all. If Brunson can win a chip or at least get to the NBA Finals, his name and stock surpasses Devin Booker in the NBA hierarchy. Jimmy Butler, Jimmy's more of a role player now. He's on the Golden State Warriors, man. He's not even their top player on the team anymore. So Brunson surpassed Jimmy Butler as well. Who else? Who else out east, Sam? Look, Tyrese Halliburton, he's going to be out for a full 12 months. So his stock is going to drop a little bit. Brunson's time to shine once again. Vaughn says Huck Porty and Deuce taking another step this season, 100%. Buzzer Beater says Zion. Dude. Yep. Great shout. Zion taking a few steps back. Trying to remind everyone what he's capable of too. And look, we could say the same thing for Cat. Let's say Cat has another All NBA year. second team All NBA, that's top 10 in the league. Right? If you're All NBA second team, you're ahead of, most players. You're top 10 in the league. And Cat was All NBA third team, I think, last season. Brunson was All NBA second team. So yeah, if Cat can have another huge year, let's see how that plays out. Really exciting times, fam. Now the Giannis situation. Look, there's not really too much to talk about with the Giannis situation right now. It's something for the future. It's something major to look at for the future. But I think for right now, we're about to compete for a championship, and we don't need that distraction. As Giannis addressed those reports, fam, saying, look, right now I'm locked in with my team. I've told my teammates, we're all in and we're trying to win. But he said in 6 to 7 months, things could be different. So he's absolutely left the door open. But as Buzzer says, he has to demand that trade. I don't think he's built like that. I don't think he's going to do that. But look, he sees the teams that are sexy right now. The New York Knicks are among them. And I just think that we park it for now. Let's park this situation. 6 months from now, hopefully we're talking about we're number 1 seed, full steam ahead. We're competing all in for the chip. And we talk about it in the summer. But if Giannis's team is bad, it is something to really, we can't ignore, because Giannis will get traded. If it gets to the trade deadline and he's starting to be more aggressive and disgruntled, even if the Knicks aren't ready to do a trade right away, we might be able to wait for his free agency, and we'll see what happens with that, fam. But I mean, there's just so much speculation, man. People are getting crazy with the graphics, and y'all know the biggest rival Giannis has is Tyrese Halliburton, man, and his pops, right? He was probably cheering for the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals last season when the Knicks were doing battle with Tyrese Halliburton, And so, look, I think his days are numbered, and in Milwaukee, and we'll see if and when that happens this season. But on a positive note, right, to wrap up our late night post game, shout out to everyone in the building. Appreciate y'all. The Knicks are now 3-0. Let's continue this momentum. Full steam ahead. Mikal Bridges, man, looks like a new man, right? He looks fresh, excited. He looks locked in, and he looks efficient on the offensive side, fam. Having success, 42% from downtown, right? Despite his teammates not shooting the rock very well. It was a huge story for Mikal Bridges, fam. Taking out the game ball, fam. And if he continues to play like this, OG continues to play like he does, then there's no need. There's no need for any Giannis trade. And on that note, as Buzzer says, I'm not losing any sleep over Giannis. Yep. It's the case of our team, man, and the way we're stacked up. We're good enough to win with what we have right now, and we can address that in the summer. If we don't end up lifting the championship, then we can talk about it. Then. But if he gets moved, we'll see. We'll see which team's willing to put all their assets in the middle for a rental. Because Giannis is not going to re-up with any team. I think he's going to wait it out, and he's going to go through free agency. Damn, he's very calculated that way. But with that said, guys, keep buzzing, and I'll see you on the next one. And we'll be live later in the week to chop it up. And we'll see you then, fam. Be well, big up, and let's go Knicks. Peace.